The plane crashed about 500 meters short of the landing strip at Amsterdam Airport, broke into 3 pieces. Some of the survivors of the crash have described a last-minute bit of turbulence before they were coming in for a landing, and then wham, the plane landed, hit the ground, and broke into pieces. Now, Turkish authorities have some explaining to do, explaining how this accident happened in the first place aboard their flagship airline, and second, why it was that Turkish authorities insisted in the crucial first hours after the plane crash that no people were killed in that catastrophe. In the hours afterwards, the Dutch authorities came out with a press statement, in fact saying that 9 people were killed, and you can imagine the kind of traumatic turnaround this was for people waiting on the edge of their seats trying to find out what happened to their loved ones aboard that flight.
As you can imagine, this was a big mistake in the beginning of the crisis management, saying that no people died instead of telling the truth, saying that 9 people died, or just saying that numbers are not yet known, so it cannot be said for sure. So what can we learn from this example, and how could you improve your own crisis management? A good crisis management includes 9 different steps. The first step, be prepared. When the accident is reported to the company, Turkish Airlines informs its staff and management about what has happened. In a conference, the crisis plan is taken to action. A crisis plan is a crucial element for every company to have. Every possible scenario has to be taken into account, so that when something does happen, everybody knows what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Effective crisis management can significantly change the result of a crisis for the company in a positive way. It might also quickly take away the media's interest into a certain topic. On the contrary, bad crisis management might attract massive media attention that negatively influence the public image of a company. Think of the BP oil platform accident in 2010. The second step is providing background information to the media. Journalists need any information, and if the company cannot and does not want to give it, they will look for information from other sources, and might receive untrue information from people that pretend to be eyewitnesses. For example, especially in the early stages of a crisis, when maybe no reliable information is yet available even to the PR managers, it is important that some information is given to the media. Background information about the company, facts, figures, names saying no comment, who make the impression that the company has something to hide, and only give room for further speculations in the media. Any gaps concerning actual information would be filled with something else. Speculations, gossip, or an article on how bad a company is dealing with a crisis. All this will of course harm a company's public image. The third step is to manage the flow of information, which goes through the media to the public. Therefore, the organization should speak with one voice to avoid any confusion and room for gossiping. The company should create the impression that they are in charge of the crisis and know what they are doing. Remember that the Turkish government immediately announced that nobody was killed in the airplane crash near Amsterdam. Shortly afterwards, the Dutch government confirmed the death of 9 people. This clearly confused the public, and think of people who were worried about friends or family members they were on the plane. They are only one public target group that had a big concern in the affair. Other public target groups include the media and governments, especially the Dutch and Turkish one, travel agencies and other airlines, because an airplane crash will most likely raise another discussion about the general safety of traveling by airplanes. The fourth step describes that the company needs to be authoritative. The company should create the impression to the media that they are trustworthy and that they are in charge of the crisis management. They should try to be the only reliable source to get information from. A crisis plan should also include who will be spokesperson for a company. The public will appreciate a very high-ranked and therefore credible person. A PR manager might organize the information passed on to the media, but he will not very likely be asked for an interview. Step 5. Keep talking. Do not leave gaps of silence. Any silence is seen as not being able to deal with a problem, or it might look secretive and like the company wants to hide information from the public. Try at least to estimate when information will be available. The sixth step is about the necessity of showing regret towards the crisis. Turkish Airlines should therefore present that they are emotionally affected by the crisis. This would be expected by the public. Lawyers will advise any company against apologizing for something before it is known whose fault the crisis is. However, not expressing regret about what has happened will appear cold and uncaring. Step 7. Ensure accuracy. Make sure that all information is true. This counts for both what the company passes on to the media as well as for what the media makes public. Therefore, companies should make sure that what they tell is the truth. You don't need a journalist discovering how you have been lying and add up to the crisis itself. Next to that, an official should be assigned to scan all the news about the crisis. In case of inaccuracy, the company needs to act quickly. The eighth step is being sensitive, concerning language, design, tone and content of any publications. Crises, especially those involving deaths, have to be dealt with carefully, as it will be easy to hurt or upset someone. The ninth and last step is about learning from what has happened. A company like Turkish Airlines should have a lot to learn from that crash. Media coverage after the crash claimed Turkish Airlines to be the least safest European airline. Against this, they had to act. There are two elements that are very important to consider in crisis management: corporate identity and corporate image. The corporate identity is the image that the company tries to reflect to the public. It includes four different parts. The first part and the core of the corporate identity is the corporate personality of the company. It includes things like the mission statement and the vision statement. The other parts include the corporate behavior of the company, the corporate design, so the meaning and design of the logo. The last part is the corporate communication, which includes representation of the company to the media by using advertisements and press. The corporate image can differ very much from the corporate identity due to miscommunication or misinterpretation. Of course, the crisis is very likely to change the corporate image. After the plane crash, when articles about the safety of Turkish Airlines were published, the corporate image of Turkish Airlines experienced a lot of damage. Therefore, they would have to think about improving its corporate image again. Let's think of an advertisement, a TV spot or poster campaign to promote the safety of Turkish Airlines. Prerequisite for this would be a big change in the company. The public probably expects a staff change in the management department. The safety regulations of the airline would have to be reviewed and renewed. A commercial might include a promise that security standards would significantly risen and that the company has changed. In a commercial, we could imagine seeing the inside of a modern plane. Helpful and friendly airline staff and families happy and excited for their flight, which will be safe of course. Changing the corporate identity concerning logos, slogans or colors might also be another way to get rid of the negative news that are connected to the company and psychologically influence people and give the impression of a new start of Turkish Airlines.